I've spent 4 years at Vanderbilt and was on a naval scholarship and was commissioned into the regular Navy as an ensign and went aboard the destroyer USS Eugene A. Green and had every job on there you could have except doctor. I became chief engineer and we carried a Commodore McKellar. There were only two in the Navy at the time, and he called me to his stateroom and asked me to put on my dress whites and go to the aircraft carrier Randolph and see Admiral Cato Brown and deliver a personal message. So I dressed up, looked really good, got in the whaleboat. We were between the islands of Sardinia and Corsica, and went aboard the aircraft carrier, said I had a message for the Admiral. And they said, well, give it to his staff officer. And I said, no, it's for his eyes only, hand delivered by me. I said, please follow him. Those were the instructions. Something happened before I got to the quarterdeck. I fell out of the whaleboat and got soaking wet. And they fished me out and sent me up the gangway. And the officer of the deck said, what happened to you? And I said, I fell in the water. And I explained I had to see the Admiral. So they took me to him. And he welcomed me, introduced himself. I told him who I was delivering a message. And he had the Marine sergeant, get me a blanket and wrap me up in it. Had his chief of staff get me a hot cup of coffee, and he said, I want you to be comfortable. And he sat down and read the letter, turned it over and wrote something on the back. And he said, you return this to the Commodore with my regards. I thanked him and I left, went back, still wet. About 2.5 months later, he came aboard the UGS, the Green, and I was the honor guard. And I had my sword out and up. Well, it went right through the awning. And he walked up the gangway, and here's what he said. Request permission to come aboard, saluted the ensign at the fantail, saluted the officer of the deck, took one step over, smiled at me and said, Mr. Adams, are you staying dry?
That's great.
The caveat to that was he was then escorted to the meeting with the Commodore, and the executive officer was about to have a fit, Lieutenant Commander Harris. He said, do you know the Admiral? And I said, he's a good friend.
So did you enjoy your time in the Navy?
I loved it. It was great.